When I say overpowered shotgun setups or broken shotgun setups in Warzone, what comes to your mind? Is it the Gallo? Is it the legendary Doof Doof, or maybe even the Street Sweeper? Comment down below right now and let me know. Also, I don't count the FAMAS underbarrel shotgun as a shotgun technically, since it's sort of an underbarrel attachment for an assault rifle, and that one was more of a bug than anything. But today, we're gonna go over what I really do deep down think the new overpowered, basically broken shotgun is for Warzone. I do not use those words lightly. As you know, I tend to avoid that as much as I can. With the new Vanguard integration though, it's been kind of hard. There's been some ridiculous setups. And I think this one is probably the worst, as in this is probably the strongest one we've had thus far. We've never had a shotgun act like this before, and some people are starting to catch on to it. What shotgun, you may ask? The Einhorn Revolving Shotgun. This is probably the most overtuned a shotgun has just legitimately been since I think the R90, since the Doof Doof meta. Now, with my class setup, I think that this gun is probably the most broken actual shotgun we've had in the game. It's just nuts! While the shotgun has its quirks, overall the power of it with this class setup outweighs all of the bad. Now, before we go into the actual class setup, we're going to talk about the base gun and some attachments and then go into the most insane build I could find. If you thought you knew what the best attachments were to run right now on this thing, well, I found something that you probably didn't even think to run, so stick it out till the end. But if you do want to, you can just avoid my annoying talking, and I'll leave a timestamp for the class below, since a lot of people love to pelt me for talking a lot. Now, if you're wondering why I go into the gun beforehand, it's because it adds a bit of context for the gun and gives a little bit of a build-up and also just some insight as to how the gun works, so that's why I do it. But like I said, a timestamp for the class is going to be in the description below if you want it, and if you want to know the secrets behind the way it works, as well as some basic shotgun stats for this gun, keep watching. Now, the Einhorn on its own is a super quirky and kind of an awkward gun. The base gun has a max damage range of about 4.1 meters, and in this range you can actually 2-tap fully armored players. It's pretty cool that we have a technically semi-auto shotgun that can actually do that. As always with the Vanguard shotguns too, headshots deal a good bit more of damage and can oftentimes take the number of shots to kill down in some ranges. From 4.1 to 5.7 meters or so, it takes everything 3 shots to kill head to toe, and past that it's going to take at least 4 body shots and 3 headshots. So for the time to kill of this gun, with the rate of fire of around 153 rounds per minute, it's going to be at around 392 milliseconds for 2-shot kills. That is really fast and really good in the current meta. Sadly, once you hit 3 shots to kill, it's going to go up to about 784 milliseconds, which is in the realm of pump action shotguns. And to get that 2-shot time to kill, you have only 4 meters to work with if you're accurate. On its own, with the 16 gauge ammo, which is the default ammo type, or magazine type I should say, it's just not a very good gun. Sure, it has a great time to kill up close, but that range is super limited and it's an awkward gun to get down. It's okay, but it's got some attachments to really make it a freak of nature. We do have some barrels to help, specifically the fire rate rapid barrel and the big Klauser barrel for range, and those are the two that I really think you should be concerned with. The rapid fire barrel helps your rate of fire go up about 24%, which is really noticeable, and it takes that time to kill up to about 315 milliseconds. It's a nice boost and it feels a lot better, but sadly it also hurts range by about 29%, so your max damage 2-shot range is about 2.9 meters, which is just not good. The Klauser ranged barrel helps our max damage range up to about 5.8 meters, which is a 41% increase, and this is usually my go-to barrel because it noticeably improves the gun. Although the fire rate is still meh, we have some awesome range to go with it. Now onto the fun stuff, and as always, the base gun is in 16 gauge, but that's never good. So how about 12 gauge? Well, 12 gauge seems to take your max damage range to 10 meters, and not only that, but it increases your damage done. A torso shot goes from doing roughly 145 points of damage to about 200 like a pump action, and headshots, like I said, always do more. So 200 damage up to 10 meters, and once you hit that 10 meter mark, it seems to drop off to basically a 3-shot kill from what seems to be close to 20-ish meters. That is really disgusting. That is really good. To be able to 2-tap people at this range is insane. This isn't even the crazy part. Oh no, it gets much crazier. So what about the ammo types? Well, Buck and Slug is the usual favorite for a lot of people. It isn't anything super crazy. It is good. It sort of inherits the ranges of the base ammo type you use with it seems like. So if you use 16 gauge, the only nice thing is that in the second damage range, you can still 2-tap headshots, but really, it's not that great to be honest. It's nice for accurate players who aim for the head, but most people would be better suited for other ammo types. We do have other ammo types like packed powder and reduced powder, but the real kicker here, the secret, is incendiary shells, or dragon's breath if you want to call it that. Incendiary shells basically just give you a straight up damage boost to your gun. This is where things start to get a little nuts. If you stack on the big barrel, the 12 gauge ammo type, and incendiary ammo, you deal massive damage at long ranges. The max damage range, you deal roughly 230 points of damage. That's kind of an estimate, an eyeballing if you will. So enemies have barely any health left after one shot. And that's up to roughly 10 to 11 meters with the incendiary and the bigger barrel and the 12 gauge ammo. So to basically give you the rundown, with those attachments, the max 2-tap range you can hit is about 16 meters consistently. 16 meters for a 2-shot kill, if fully aiming down sights of course. Remember the doof? That was pushing 10 meters in its prime, closer to 9 if I remember right actually. The Model 680 currently with Dragon's Breath and max range attachments, about a 10 meter 2-shot kill. Jack 12 with slugs, that's about a 17 meter 2-shot to the chest. So with the incendiary shells, with the Einhorn, plus the range of the 12 gauge, you get insane range, but your time to kill does go down a slight bit because sadly, 12 gauge ammo type hurts your fire rate pretty noticeably. It's about a 14% decrease. The time to kill then for this build is roughly 454 milliseconds, so it's akin to a good SMG, and that's pretty nasty. I do want to point out though that the time it takes to burn will add about 200 milliseconds to that, so roughly maybe 600 milliseconds or so. It's not super noticeable though, because usually by the time you fire your second shot, their armor's already gone and they pretty much just die instantly, but just know that sometimes it does take a little bit of time for that incendiary burn to kick in, so it may not be exactly 454 milliseconds. At this point in the video, well, you saw that the power is really incendiary with that 12 gauge ammo and that big barrel, right? But I discovered something else that takes it up a notch, and it's something that you really wouldn't even look at normally. You'd probably overlook it, and you really probably didn't think it could get much better, right? Well, my friends, you are wrong. One of the most overlooked attachments for good reason, if we look at the descriptions, is the Birdshot 5-round cylinder magazine. Most people choose 12 gauge, but on this gun, don't bother. Instead, run the Birdshot mag. Why? Well, despite getting close to a 7% increase to the base rate of fire and better mobility, you don't actually lose any damage or range really at all. You actually get range. Now, you do the same damage as the 12 gauge magazine type, and on their own, the 12 gauge ammo does seem to give you more range compared to Birdshot, with that 10 meters max damage range basically being a 143% increase in range, and Birdshot takes it from 4.1 to 5.1 meters, so it's more at 24%. Despite that though, I want to point out that when you stack incendiary shells and the bigger barrel, the Clouser barrel, logic flies out the window because the 2-shot range goes up with the Birdshot attachments and incendiary and the big barrel to 23 meters. Yes, equip the big barrel, incendiary shells, Birdshot, and you unlocked 23 meter 2-shot kills. I'm not kidding, I'm not joking. 12 gauge you would think would give you the best 2-shot ranges here, and with the other attachments, of course that would help. And it does, but for some reason, Birdshot with the incendiary shell unlocks some weird secret power and you basically break the gun. So now compared to the 12 gauge ammo, we now have a shotgun with a better aim down sights time, better mobility, a better fire rate, which means a better time to kill, and more range by around 6 to 7 meters. Holy shit. This, in my mind, is broken. This cannot be intentional. Birdshot shouldn't be doing this kind of damage this far, and in fact, 12 gauge shouldn't either. But this is broken like the FAMAS underbarrel shotgun, where I am 100% sure it's unintentional. If this is just nuts, and it's just like, how did this even make its way into the game? Granted, it does only have 5 rounds and the reload is slow, but as long as you only run into 2 people at a time, they're pretty much dead and you can manage, but it is a little awkward to handle. I will give it that. Also, you do need to aim down sights with this build, which some newbier players might not like, but oh my god, the power is insane on this thing, and yes, it's broken. I never ever use that word lightly, but this is sort of like unintentionally strong, and I don't see this lasting. Once the meta settles down and people start to kind of branch out of the usual SMG AR meta, shotguns are going to start to get a lot more attention, and these builds we keep finding for overpowered shotguns are going to go pretty quick down into the gutters. So here is my class setup. This is focused on aim down sight speed and range. Some people may want a movement speed build, but I really recommend an aim down sight speed build, and I love how snappy this one is, and it's perfect for being quick to react to situations. Gung-Ho is essential. It's my perk of choice usually because eliminating sprint to fire speed lets you focus on other things like aim down sight speed. So you have the medium iron sights, the VOD hunter stock, the skeletal grip, the birdshot cylinder, and the leather grip, all which help your aim down sight speed. It's super snappy and it's super strong, and it's really important to aim down sights with this build. I promise you, this build is absolutely disgusting and absolutely broken. It's gonna piss a lot of people off, and does it need a nerf? Yes, I'm okay with a 2-shot kill at good range, but 23 or even 16 meters is too much for this kind of gun, and it's too much for incendiary shells. If you want a snappy, strong build, just copy and paste this one that I have. You have my word that you will be unstoppable in most situations within that 20-meter range. And guys, that is just about it for this video. A little bit of a longer one, but I really wanted to go into this shotgun and show you guys, yes, this is not to be messed with. This is insane. You have to try it. It's gonna get nerfed. It's gonna get a lot of hate and attention. To be fair, it kind of deserves it. It's a little overtuned. It's a lot of overtuned, actually. But let me know in the comments below what you think of this. Have you tried it out? Did you know that birdshot is actually the best attachment to run with incendiary shells? Let me know in the comments below. If you're new here, I cover a lot of shotgun content and Warzone content and Call of Duty content in general, specifically pertaining to shotguns generally. So if you like that, be sure to subscribe. And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.